Okay. That's it.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tash and Bex Flex. Just having a few technical problems there, aren't we, Tash? Welcome back to Tony Sayers.
Or is it Danny Dyer? It's Danny Dyer.
Oh, no, I'm the guy out of Spandau Ballet as well.
Well, apparently we're Melon Sue. We're Melon Sue.
Yeah, we're Melon Sue.
Melon Sue, back from the 90s.
Yeah, and I just the first thing I said to Tash was, which one of us is the carpet muncher? That's what I want. Not me either. It's not me either. Yeah, and often Frida Kahlo, I get accused, and Hinge and Bracket.
Who's Hinge and Bracket?
Oh, they were two old ladies. Piano. Back in.
What was? Am I Hinge as well?
Don't know. They're both.
What I want to know is how I can be three people at the same time. I'm Tony Hadley, I'm Danny Dyer, and I'm the guy out of East 17. All at the same
Brian
time.
Harvey as well, aren't you? You're Brian Harvey.
No, I'm not Brian Harvey. I'm the other guy that was in it.
Oh,
yeah,
the tall one.
I can't think.
There was a tall one.
Yeah.
But it's because we're playing characters, aren't we? We're not real people.
I mean, there is an element of activated reality.
I'm not saying that, but
when they start accusing just all us,
and the research there is abysmal, and so is the IQ.
Quite abusive, didn't they?
Very abusive.
If anyone listens to that with any kind of like discernment and figures that guy is telling the truth about anything, then humanity has got a huge problem on its hand.
He's bizarre, isn't he?
He's and very aggressive. And very
to us, aren't they? Sending really nasty messages and stuff.
Anyway,
I wanted to talk a little bit about yoga. Now, I do have my 200 hours certificate.
Yeah,
in yoga. Oh, Tony's frozen there.
He'll come back. That happened before. Yeah. Carry on.
That's it. You just froze for a bit, but you're back now.
Right, go on then,
you're frozen. You said you had 200 what?
I did my 200-hour certificate in yoga. So I'm a yoga practitioner, if you like. However, the course that I did, I tried to find the course that was the least like Hinduism, because I'm not Hindu and I don't understand it. And I don't know any of the poses, do I? I call them things like dog piss pose, upside down on your head pose. I like just all of these, like I haven't got
your own names, don't you?
Yeah, I make up my own names, and I've got no idea like into anything really about it. And it was interesting because part of the course they were talking about the Dantians, and that's how I found the video about you. So this particular course was actually pulling apart the chakras and saying that how can one belief system have like 12 chakras, some have 7, some have apparently 108 or something ridiculous this. Yeah. So that's kind of how I found you. Now, back when the lockdown happened, there was a massive online yoga community. Massive. And they're doing all these yoga challenges and stuff. It happened to be a group of women who I went to school with, and we all kind of came onto this platform, if you like, at the same time. Everyone started with, all these yoga ladies, showing off their gooshes and their toes and their cleavage. And they were all like, I would never do that. And they've got like, socks on, long things, all of this. And as time went by, I swear to God, this one lady actually put like a camel's hoof in her pants to make it look like she had this big juicy fanny.
No, what you're saying is getting more and more sexual.
Seriously, yeah. What I'm saying is, from these women going, I would never show this bit and I'd never wear a crop top and I'd never do this. They were literally getting their gashes out. And everything was about
I've not heard that word for years.
Tash the gash.
But they were literally getting their gashes out. Everything was like peachy, and they're doing all this with their bum.
Oh my God. Yeah,
and
it's
then
so nasty.
And then it became really into feet. So it became, so I started looking and I was like, well, this isn't even yoga, this is pure sexual. Women over 50, I don't want to see their punani. Not really.
We're not gay anyway, so you any age really, Tash. I'm not that interested.
But you know what I mean? These women were looking, I can't explain it. It was, and then of course I saw one of your videos about the serpent energy from the Kundalini style yoga. And that's exactly what's happened to these women, because they were honestly at the beginning like prudes, complete prudes. And as over the period of probably 3 years, so it doesn't happen like
overnight, it's gradual.
Yeah, over about 3 years. Yeah, literally, honestly, just so sexualized.
And then isn't that an inversion of the divine feminine? Because I just hate all that when everything's over sexualized. It's kind of like, I don't know, it feels
And
like
they do nips. They do, and they put hashtag nips, and they got wonky nips.
Okay.
This, and I'm like, what? Why are they?
what
What?
they're putting their nips.
Well, they take their bras off, and then they do a little yoga pose, and because they're old, they got like these wonky nipples. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh,
But isn't that what spirituality has become? I mean, I live in a town down from Tulum. I don't know if you guys know Tulum, but it's like
I don't know
the
Mexico.
Bali. It's like the Bali of Central America. It's like the Koh-Phangan, right?
Okay.
And it's all people like taking pictures of themselves at the end of a rock doing like the cobra pose, and
Yes.
like it's like this, like you say, the skin tight yoga pants, and like it's like looking away at the camera like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, all these people, they're taking yoga classes in the morning, and then they're snorting cocaine at night, calling themselves spiritual. I mean, the whole thing's a farce. And you're absolutely right about the sexual energy. Serpent energy is very sexual energy, and this is what you find within yoga communities. This is why a lot of these schools, I mean, the big one, the case in point is Agama Yoga, which is was the biggest yoga school in the world, which was in Koh Phangan. And the guy fronting up that got exposed for basically
fiddling,
shagging. He was shagging all his women.
No, he was doing the adjudgments, wasn't he? And accidentally slipping his hand up their crack. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and they'll call that yoni healings, right?
Yes.
They call it what?
Yoni healings. They'll be like, oh, you need your yoni healed, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is why I made a video recently called why retreats are creepy, something along those lines. And this is what goes on in these places a lot of the time. And so the serpent energy you're talking about, which is a very common entity race, and there's different races within race. So you have the winged serpent, you have the four-headed snake entity. And so what they're doing is they're tuning through the yoga poses. Now, this is the point that I want to make. And again, this is a point that no one likes to hear. And we're talking here about intention. So first of all, right, there's nothing wrong with stretching. Stretching can be beneficial. I'm down with stretching. I see that, right? The difference is it's the archetypes of yoga. Bear in mind, Aleister Crowley used to practice this, the most evil man that ever walked the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically the positions, it's the positions that are calling in, whether you intend to or not. If you make that pose, you are in that pose there is a correlation with an entity, right? And so this is what people are connecting with when they do yoga. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, but if my intention is not to do that, well, you're making the pose that was designed to call in that entity. And so
it's like the pose is a sort of
gateway. It's a gateway.
It's a gateway. It's a portal. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
And so I've had so many debates with people, and the same thing with channeling. Like I had this debate with someone the other day. I mean, yeah, well, with channeling is great. I'm like, okay, well, what are you channeling? Like, and also, yeah, but if my intention is to channel good, okay, well, when you channel, you go into the fourth dimension. You go into those dimensions that are closest to us. So in my experience, there's nothing of any use in those dimensions, right? I'm not saying that there's not good things out there somewhere, but in this matrix, we are the good things, the soul beings, the source players, the humans. We are the good things. Everything that resides in the fourth dimension is really trying to hijack your energy, deceive you, take you off your path, give you a few nuggets of truth, and then pull the rug. And so people are like, yeah, well, you know, I'm channeling. Like, we know how these entities will masquerade as angels, dead people, pets. So what are you channeling, right? Well, my intention was good, yeah, but you're going into their home base, right?
Into their realm.
Imagine it's a football match. It's like going to the away ground and like expecting great things. You know, you're going into their into their home, as you say,
into their energy, as well.
Yeah, so all this escapism to the fourth D through channeling and different things that I mentioned before, it's not really getting anyone anywhere. And yeah, so that's really the case with yoga as well, in fact that it doesn't matter if your intention is pure. If you're making those poses, I mean, we see
You're
like what's the
still.
cobra pose? Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, you're making these creepy. I mean, I tell a story on my channel of one day my Spanish teacher here in Mexico. She was doing a yoga class straight after the lesson, and I literally I was there, like I couldn't get out of it. I wasn't taking part. I was. And like they were doing all these weird poses, and at the end she's like, "Right, now I want you to put your hands up and stick your tongue out," and like that's
oh
what
yeah,
the devil. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is so demonic and no one can see it.
yeah,
So, you know, again, another topic, you probably get pelters in the comments and all that kind of stuff. It is what it is. People can do what they want.
Yeah.
That's what I feel is going on with yoga.
yeah. And I have to say, with yoga, when you do like the sort of very serpenty ones, like the cobra, is it the scorpion where you bend your legs backwards? It's somewhat painful. I can't even explain it as a pain. I find it incredibly uncomfortable around here whenever I do any of those types of poses. It makes me feel, oh, I don't know, like all my insides are going to like burst out. And it's not a pain, it's just this really
Like you're doing something with your body.
uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's always in those sort of poses that tend to have like, yeah, the cobra, the scorpion, the sort of quite sort of more sinister sort of names. And yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I said to you a couple of years ago about it, didn't I? I think there's something very
Yeah,
dark
you did.
about
Yeah,
yoga.
you did say there's something very dark about
I
yoga.
do,
You did.
I mean,
frankly.
I'm at the point now where if something's super popular, I'm questioning it straight away.
Same here.
Yeah.
We don't listen to anyone that has huge following. We listen to people who have small, like we do grassroots follow. I listen to grassroots. I listen to people that are
Yeah.
like us.
But what I mean is, if something's being pushed and promoted and is big
Yeah.
in out there, and they
Yeah.
push all this new age stuff, then it's like, okay, I'm going to question that because chances are something's not going to be quite right with it.
Yeah, if we're being encouraged to do it, ask why.
Yeah.
And
Ask
I'm also
yourself
not a
why.
Hindu, so why would I be doing
But-
Hindu rituals? And that's not even my belief
Yeah.
or my makeup or anything. So that in itself to me is really strange.
It's
But
not
the thing
your culture.
Yeah.
the way the new age has flown under the radar is that it's so clever how they've done it. They've layered this matrix. So what happens is you wake up to the corruption.
Ah,
Frozen again. Hang on. I'll come back. Hopefully. You wake up to the corruption. Go through the truth of movement. There's nothing we can do. We just have to wait for it to unfreeze.
I know, is it?
Give it a
What's
minute.
that doing that for?
Oh, Tony, come back.
Come back, Tony.
Ah, it's taking a long time.
It's not going to come back, is it? Can we pause it for a minute?
Yeah, we're pausing.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, there's so much that normally goes on with these interviews in terms of interference and stuff.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can.
that-
Yeah,
That was weird though. That was a long block.
very strange. So where were we? You was telling us talk about the yoga
Yeah.
and
So basically, what I'm saying is what they've done is they've cleverly layered this matrix, right? So you wake up to all the, you know, all the stuff, you know, the corruption, the wars, the kids, what's going on with those, and then they've layered this with what I call the false awakening, which is the new age movement and this fake version of spirituality. And so what I'm saying to people is that we need to have an awakening from the awakening. We need to have an awakening from the false awakening, because I think once you wake up from the new age stuff and the soul trap stuff, then you really are on a path of, you know, sovereignty and hopefully getting out of this place. It's so clever how they've done it, because the other point I was going to make is that what they've done with the new age movement is they've given you the ultimate truth, because they always give you a bit of truth, and they've peppered the whole thing with dog shit, right? So they give you the truth that you're energy and that you never die, which is very empowering, but then they've layered that with all this BS. You know, you need to don't look at anything negative, never judge anything, destroy the ego, you know, all this like false white light energy grid. So people get hooked in by that truth, and then they fall into the other layers of BS that surrounds it. And so what my work is all about is trying to, you know.
Oh man. Give it a minute, hopefully he'll come back.
Sovereignty, self-empowerment, self-responsibility.
Yeah.
Am I still here?
Yeah, we lost you for a minute there.
Second.
You were saying about how basically, you know, they hook you in and then you're given the truth, but it's peppered with all this shit, and then they've kind of got you then and can take you down this. When we've used the analogy, not so much with this, but other things with we call it the overlay, is that if, you know, more so when we were looking at the truther movement and stuff, if you're aiming your arrow and you just take it, so 95% of it can be true, 98% of it can be true, because if you just take it 2 degrees off target, it won't hit. So they've only got to
That's a great point.
Small bits.
Can I make a point on that? Because what you just said there was a point that's very well made. And what I talk about is like books and documentaries. How, like, you look at spiritual books on Amazon, it is full of crap, right? So we've got this obsession of, oh, we need to read all these books, right? You only need to read one book if it's got the truth in it, right?
Yeah.
And so people are going away and they're doing, you know, they're consuming all this information, and there's misinformation, disinformation, layers of BS and psyops and shills and all this kind of stuff, trying to confuse and divert. So this is where our discernment needs to come in. And that is also like a muscle. That is also like a muscle that if you don't use it, you lose it. And people are just going, they're gravitating to what feels good. You know, maybe they've got some bias towards some information because they're invested in that kind of modality or something. And so they're going here, there, and everywhere, and they're missing that dartboard, as you say. They're missing that arrow on the board of truth, because you don't need to read a whole bunch of books and watch, you know, weeks and months of documentaries. You only need to read and watch the right ones. And so I think we're getting overloaded with so much information that it's clouding people's judgments and confusing people who haven't developed those discernment skills.
Yeah, very much so. It's a tool that they're using, isn't it?
Yeah, and intuition as well. We've lost the use of, majority have lost the use of intuition, and I think we've kind of
sixth sense as well. That sort of inner, that sort of inward feeling. And people don't go in anymore to themselves, do they?
No.
That's the big problem. They're always looking for an outside.
The answer's out there,
but the answer's out there.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, don't get me wrong, you know, there are streams of information and people that have that can express the truth. So it's not like we just go around and disregard everything that's being said, but it's that comes back to that discernment again, feeling into the information, you know, not does it feel good, like New Age, does it make me feel good? Yes, okay, I'm going to go with that. Does it feel truth? Does it feel true? Because truth is a resonance. It's something you can feel deep down in your gut, right? It's that gut feeling, okay, I don't like what that person's saying, but do you know what? It fucking feels true. And that's how I find that the truth comes. It's putting those emotions to one side and like, okay, yeah, I can see that, I can feel that, and that's really the process. But we get caught up in our feelings, and this is where people are going to get lost, because they're going to gravitate into all these things, religions, New Age, and all this stuff. They're going to get caught up on the soul trap, because they're so invested in these beliefs because they didn't discern in their physical life. Those beliefs are going to get used against you, mark my words, when it comes to the point of death. Because this AI God, this AI system will read your algorithms. Okay, how can we get Bex back down here? Okay, she was very much into religion and Jesus. Let's present Jesus when she dies. Jesus shows up. You're like, oh, great, my savior. You know, then you go for your life review. They say that they're not going to guilt trip you, yet they show you all your bad parts. of your life and make you feel what the person felt that you hurt. So they're not guilt tripping you, but you're going to feel guilt.
Right, Tony's gone again.
Is that?
You know, if you don't want to go to hell or you want to resolve the karma, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you're back again.
Yeah.
If you want to resolve your karma, then you need to go back down to earth. And you know, at that point they wipe the memory. You've lost everything that you've learned. That's why they call it research, because we're researching everything again because of the memory wipe. And so then you're back down on planet crazy, being used as a battery for entities to feed on. And so
if we can do this lifetime with awareness, really we should be able to heal and free ourselves from our trauma, and therefore live a conscious life. And then when we pass, if we've done our shadow work and we've done our trauma, everything is resolved anyway. And surely that's the whole point of your incarnation, is to resolve for yourself. Yourself, not from outside, but you do it. And a lot
and you don't get shown the false light then, maybe.
I don't think you get shown the false light, because
I think
they haven't got that hold on you. You've already empowered yourself in your incarnation.
I think when you understand the game loses its power. I think that's
Absolutely.
the first thing. But second of all, I think what I would say is we got to try and enjoy this fucking life as well. I'm not, you know, for me, that these bastards, and I'm not going to give up my dream. I'm not going to be walking around down, depressed, angry, sad. You know, I'm gonna. And it's not that I'm spiritual bypassing, because I do a lot to try and get people to, you know, see what's going on. But damn well am I not going to be down in the dumps, and they're not ruining my experience here. If this is my final life, I'm going to make it a good life here.
We've got happier, haven't we, Tash, and more free as we've gone on with our learning and research, and and more. I don't know. I feel freer than I've ever felt before.
Lighter,
which I think shows that it's working. You know.
Yeah, because you've now got the keys. You've done the work. You've walked the path of figuring out what's going on. I remember this came to me yesterday. I was just laying there in bed, and I was like, "Wow, what a journey!" I remember intention is so strong. Like 10 years ago, I remember standing in my kitchen. This was at the start of my waking up process. And I was working in the corporate world back in the UK, and I was so exhausted. I was like, I was 30. I felt like I was 50. I was grinding, and I was like, I just had an argument with my boss, and I was like, I just feel like I'm living, existing, not living, which was the title of my first book in the end. And then I was like, is there a God? What is my purpose? And I remember sitting there last night, and I was like, wow, I've literally answered all those questions, right? I know what my purpose is. I know that what God is here, which is like this AI thing. And, you know, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. So those very important questions, I feel like I've got the answers for now. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I've got everything right and I know everything, but I do feel like, and someone in my comments on my YouTube channel, he nailed it with this point. He was like, when someone said, what is the purpose of this life? He said to learn how to die properly. Now I know that sounds morbid, but
it
really
sense.
It makes sense, because because ignorance doesn't die when we die. So if you die ignorant and you can't be asked to look at information, you're going to be recycled back here. And if you die with all these really rigid belief systems, you know, religions, and you know, you like. I say to people that, you know, you can be close to family members and pets and everything like that in this lifetime, but just leave that at the door, you know, at the end. You know, don't allow that. I mean, hopefully once you become aware of the soul trap, you won't even, like you said, you won't even have that stuff go on. But for me, I'm just going, I'm gone, right? Like, no, I'm not dealing with any light tunnels or entities or angels there. I'm like, I'm out of here, right? But for some people, they're going to find it more difficult because, you know, maybe they were particularly close with a grandfather, and don't get me wrong, I'm really close with my family, but I know when the time comes, okay, that was my experience. Maybe we'll meet somewhere else in another matrix or another experience, you know, doesn't necessarily have to be the end. But I want to make sure I'm damn well going to get out of here. And so this is why discernment and letting go of those rigid belief systems, if you really want to free yourself. And just to add to your point that you made about clearing yourself, I feel for sure, well, the more clearer you are energetically, the more you're going to feel good in your daily experience anyway. The same with physically, you know, if you're eating junk food and drinking alcohol and all that stuff, you're going to feel like crap. You're not going to feel good, and life's going to be worse. So the healthier you can be physically, energetically, emotionally, the less triggered you're going to become, the more healed you become. Your life experience while you're here is going to be a whole lot better, and you're going to be able to create better things for yourself. You can have more energy. So clearing things like cords, contracts, entities, implants, and all that stuff, which I go on in the course about, is very beneficial for not just clearing yourself at the point of when we pass and we're energetically clearer, but also your living experience while you're here. Because we should, if this, like I say, if this is our last time, let's have a bloody good time, on the way out, and try and bring this thing down on the way. And as we clear ourselves, we become a shining light, proper, you know, a proper anchor of light, not this new age version anchor of light where you just sit there under an oak tree singing Kumbaya and you somehow think you're changing the matrix.
They don't like the second part.
They don't like the second part, do they?
No. He's back. He's back.
They don't
Sorry.
like the second part, do they?
Yeah, they don't like this one.
They don't like this one. Talking about when you were saying the moment when you leave and they can bring things like your pets or your grandma or whatever back, I think it's really important to remember when it's time to go that you leave the physical world behind, because that's ultimately what that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've got to be ready to leave that and go
and let go.
Let go,
because you know, a lot of people don't want to. There's so much fear around death anyway.
Well, that's how they've made the matrix, isn't it? To fear death.
So you fear death.
And absolutely.
The way we've talked about this, the way people are dying in hospitals, etc., it's just so. How the hell would you have, you know, an essence-filled death if
you're on drugs?
If you're
on drugs, or you're starved, they starve you, don't they?
God. Yeah, I keep breaking my father out of hospital before they.
Oh, do you know what? I don't know what happened, but YouTube started suggesting these. Can you hear me? I feel like I'm pausing.
Yeah, your mouth
frozen, but I can
you're
hear
frozen,
you.
but we can hear your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. YouTube suggested.
Okay. So YouTube keep suggesting me like these end of life cancer patient videos. I don't know why it came up on my suggestion.
It's come up on the algorithm.
How weird though, isn't it? What they suggest.
Yeah, it is very weird.
It's
Sorry.
interesting. Okay.
Just trying to get. I don't know why. I keep moving the mouse over his face.
Oh.
This is so annoying.
Now it's saying it's gonna. We've got 10 minutes. It's going to take us off again.
What's going on?
Right.
They don't like this.
They don't like this at all.
No. We're angering the AI gods. What a surprise.
If I pause it again.
So YouTube. No, he's still frozen, but YouTube was suggesting.
He's gone again. This is what happened last time.
Yeah.
And then he suddenly came. What did I do?
No, he just came back in his own time. But what he's saying is the algorithm, YouTube algorithm, is giving him these
end of life
cancer patients. So obviously that's going to be quite I'd imagine quite a fear.
And I wonder if that's because he's looked at stuff, because I know that he talks about the near-death experience and tries to expose that a little bit. And I wonder if it's because he's typed that in
and it's bringing
it up as like the algorithm.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we've got about 9 minutes left. Last time he came back in.
Here he is. Is he there?
Dun dun. Ooh. Oh, that looks like corporate Tony. Corporate Danny Dyer.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Danny, your
Hang
picture,
on.
you look very corporate in your calling you Danny again, Danny Dyer. You look
Hang
your
on.
little picture that comes up. That looks like you
I've
when
just-
you're in your
I've just-
corporate world.
Oh, right. Yeah, not when I was Danny Dyer, right?
Well, you do look very much like Danny Dyer, innit?
Do you think? I don't think I look anything like him.
No,
But
you don't.
yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've just switched to my mobile now because there's all kind of messing with the Wi-Fi and the usual stuff that goes on with interviews. So when you talk about this stuff, so I don't know where I was. What was I talking
You were
about?
saying that YouTube kept suggesting these
Oh,
end
yeah.
of life videos of these cancer patients.
Right, yeah, we were talking about end of life and YouTube. Yeah, for some reason, and the chemo. Oh my God, these poor young people, especially what we're seeing now with what's happening with COVID. I mean, with not, I don't believe in that, but the solution to it anyway. And it's just so sad, like what's going on with the pain and suffering at the end of, and of course, like you say, they're all dosed up on morphine and everything.
Midazolam.
And the thing is, if they're basically all of these elderly people are ending up in hospital and the intervention is stopping them from dying properly, are they not just going to keep coming back? Because they're not dying naturally and they're not dying how they should be.
No.
So my feeling is that I still think they end up with an awareness at the point of death, but I feel like it's foggy. Maybe it's more foggy. Right. So that's the reason why, for me, I'm not gonna, if that ever gets offered to me, I never want to end up in a hospital. I think I'd rather just, drown myself or something. But anyway, it's quite a morbid story there. But yeah, it's like I was just making the point of what you were saying about, and it's a really important point. They drug us up on that point of death, don't they?
Yeah,
Probably.
I just think there's
but to corrupt the death experience.
Because really, if death is meant to be something that's potentially quite beautiful and all of this sort of stuff, and it's been corrupted and we're all frightened of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it just another intervention to?
I don't know. To
stop people dying properly. I just don't believe these people have the ability when they're drugged up like that to die properly, die consciously or whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So could we have a quick talk about the moon and the false light of the moon?
We are going to get cut off.
We've got 5 minutes. Okay. So the moon, I hate the moon. I fucking hate the moon. I hate it. Always hated it. Can't bear it. So there's this theory, isn't there, that the moon is potentially sort of connected to sort of dying and the near-death experience. And
I've just done a load of research on the moon anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's now I think it's
plasma
stuff out to us.
I think it's a satellite. No, I don't think it's a satellite. What did I say it was?
I think it's a transmitter. Oh, you got his name. Yeah, and I got, what did I get?
Oh, you got something different to me, but I feel it's transmitting something. So do you think it's transmitting the false light?
I got an amplifier.
So basically what I believe is the Matrix program is being projected from Saturn. It hits the moon, which acts as an amplifier, and via our pineal gland implant, which is our transmitter receiver, we are decoding that matrix and all the mind control and the rigidness of the beliefs and everything else that comes with it. So this is the other thing in the New Age movement. They'll be like, oh, you got to clean your pineal gland. You got to decalcify your pineal gland. Yeah, well, the pineal gland's your transmitter deceiver. Yeah, it's probably a pretty good
deceiver. Yeah, it is a deceiver. Yeah. So is it like an implant? Do you feel it's an implant over something?
Yeah. So there's obviously the physical aspect of it, which is real, but the overlay, the energetic overlay, because as you guys will know, where you have a physical heart, you have an energetic heart, physical brain, energetic brain, physical nervous system, energetic nervous system. Same with the pineal. So I feel like the pineal has been overlaid as a transmitter receiver for this matrix program. So that's another implant really that needs to be removed.
And that's what Ola talks about, isn't it?
Yeah, Ola breaks down the holographic nature of this matrix in very simple terms. So she's very good at explaining that. But essentially, yeah, that's what we're in. I describe it as we're in a computer game. It's a simulation, and it's like being in the Sims. But the problem, and I call it this computer game, is like Sims Gangster Planet, right? It's like the worst kind of Sims version.
The worst scenario there could be.
Yeah, right. And so yeah, it's like any other computer game. It's getting to the next stage, getting to the next stage, getting to the next stage, and eventually you complete the game. You complete the game and you get out, and we do that with knowledge and clearing ourselves energetically, living physically well, emotionally healing and that stuff, but away from a lot of this new age modalities that are locking people and keeping people in these cul-de-sacs, and as you say, locking people into the false white light grid.
Surely, as we're all individual, we all have our own essence or energy or soul or spirit, however you want to name it. Surely we all have to do it for ourselves, because we're all individual. There's not going to be what works for me, and the way I see it is probably going to be a little bit different to the way Tash sees it, even though she's a good friend of mine. She's Tash and I'm Beck, so I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? It's
individual. I think we're all as one because we connect energetically.
Yeah, we connect,
but we're all individual.
It's going to be different to yours. So
you
have to find it for yourself. Is kind of what I'm trying to say. You have to find it for yourself in your own way. You can't take someone else's experience and expect to have the same experience, because you're going to be shown it in your way,
and you're going to interpret it in your way as well.
I do agree, but I think we also, as I said before, I think that there are objective truths that affect everyone, and that won't depend on how you feel about it, or.
But they're the universal principles, aren't they, that run through the realm, if you like?
Yeah, I think the New Age as well very much promotes this idea of all being one. And when you look at the word soul, like the meaning of the word soul very much means individual. And I've come to really think that this is more of an individual journey. Maybe at some level we are connected. I mean, I had a breakthrough experience back years ago when I took acid, and I did feel like something was like I was just a big part of something grand, and my ego took a bit of a hit then, because I was like, what, all my problems don't actually matter, what? Like all this stuff, all this way I built myself up to, like but then at the same time I felt like I was a part of everything as well. It was crazy, really. So
maybe it's a bit of both.
I think the connection is just energetic, though, isn't it? When people say one, I don't think that we're one as in one whole, but I think we're a bit like the tree root. It's like the tree root.
Yeah, tree root.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one with some of these people that believe everything the government says and have taken 7.
Exactly, we're not at one with them, are we? That's very true. Tony, we're going to get cut off. So what we're going to do? So can we do some more bids with you at some point? Can we?
Yeah, sure.
Exploration, because it's interesting stuff, isn't it?
Well, shall we just do one more to talk to Tony to close it? One more link. Have you got time?
Okay. I've got time.
Yeah. All right.